Hello paper crafters, my name is Linda Dolke. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin'Up here in Australia, and today we're doing part 3 of a little video series that I have created to show you how to use your new foil snowflakes in lots of different ways. Today we're making Christmas wreaths, so stick around and I hope you love them. So today we have part 3 of creative things to do with our foil snowflakes. Here are the foil snowflakes. I have showed these on the previous videos, and they come in a pack of 24, and there's 12 gold, and down the bottom here 12 silver. Aren't they great? So many things you can do with them. I've already showed you some masking and embossing techniques, or how to do a little bit of embossing with these, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas wreath out of one. Like the one I've done on this card, I'll just bring it up closer so that you can see it. And I just want to show you really quickly how I did this. I've actually embossed it the same as I did in part 2, the previous video. The green ink I've used is Tranquil Tide, and I've also used clear embossing powder. So that's a separate video if you want to see that. But what I wanted to show you is how I got the shape. So I actually spent a bit of time chopping up the snowflakes in all different ways, and I may still come back and put some more info on my blog, or maybe even another video I'll see about how to chop them up in different ways. But what I'm doing them today is I'm actually using our framelits, the layering circles framelits they're called, and I've used the very smallest one in the middle of a snowflake. Okay, and I have lined that up in the middle, run it through my big shot, and it leaves me with this shape. Okay, so I pop that back down. So it's the smallest circle out of the layering framelits, the layering circles, and it leaves you with this shape, which is kind of cool because it does look kind of like a wreath. And this is actually one that I've already done the other side with the green embossed, clear embossed snowflake. Okay, and I've cut the center out of it, so now I have a wreath shape. And when I wanted to put it onto this card, I could have just glued it straight down with some fine tip glue pen, or even a little bit of snail or some glue dots, but I actually wanted it to be raised up off my card, and that was a little bit of a challenge because if I put dimensionals behind that, you'd be able to see them through the snowflakes. So instead what I did was I cut myself a little ring, and I used 2 of the largest snowflakes. You can snowflakes, the circles, one inside the other, so that it cut this shape. And you can also do the same thing with punches. So if you have 2 punches, and I'll give you a really quick tip on how to do that. So I have here some Tranquil Tide cardstock. Okay, and if I decide that I wanted to use, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I've got a 1 3/8 of an inch punch here, and I'm going to always punch a smaller one first. We actually don't need the punch, we just need the hole. And then you're going to get your bigger one, and you can decide whether you want it. This is the 1 3/8, sorry, no, the 1 3/4. The first one was 1 3/8, and that's going to make that much. When I punch that, that's how big my circle will be. Or if I wanted to go a little bit more, a little bigger, which I probably would, I go up to the 2-inch punch, and that's going to give me that size circle. So it doesn't matter too much about the circle because you just want it to go underneath your snowflake. And I have actually got one underneath here. Okay, if you look really closely, you can see it, but actually it doesn't take away at all from the snowflake. It actually gives you, it actually fills in a little bit more, so it looks a little bit more solid green. Probably a little, in my mind, a little bit more like a wreath. So that's what I've used there, and I will show you how I've done this. So this is the one I did with the framelits, this is the one I did with the punch. You can see one's a little bigger than the other. Both will work, but in either case, when you go to attach these, first of all, I did on the reverse put a tiny bit of snail just to hold it. Actually no, I didn't. Trying to remember what I did. Goodness me. Yes, I did. Just a tiny little bit of snail around here. Only a little, because I just want to hold it in place. So I've used the tiniest of pieces. And just say I decide I'm going to go with this one here. You just want to line it up so that it's symmetrical. So that now it looks like this. Okay, and that also helps the snowflake to have a bit more stability. It holds it together better so that it's less likely to rip, and it's going to hold its shape when you try and attach it to the card. And then these wonderful things here are mini dimensionals. We've got them in our new catalogue, and I love them because they are great for projects like this. Whereas the bigger dimensionals, I might need to cut them down a little bit. These ones I don't need to at all. And I could have used a smaller frame, which is what I used on my actual card, and that would fit fine as well. So you can see they fit quite well behind there. And then when I peel the backs off them, that's going to stay on my card beautifully, and the wreath will be a little bit raised. Okay, so you can see that's what I've done here. My wreath is a little raised. I use some of our Wood Textures paper behind, and I've also got a piece of champagne foil here that I've embossed with our the Quilted Christmas, or I better look that up. Actually, I'll put it up on the screen so you can see the correct name of it. It's a beautiful embossing folder that we have in our current holiday catalogue. So these are all pretty much holiday catalogue products that you're seeing. And I also added some little berries to my wreath to make it look a little more authentic. Now you could use some of our the shapes, the enamel shapes, which come in all the families of colour. So the Regals one would have the cherry cobbler ones. If you wanted to use real red, you would want to use the Brights elements. But if you don't have those, you can also use rhinestones, which is what I've got on here right now, or even our pearls. Okay, so either will work. And then what you want to do is you want to get yourself a red Sharpie, and I've just coloured along a couple of them. If you colour them while they're still attached to the backing, that's actually easier than trying to colour them once you've got them on your project. So do this, and then it doesn't matter if you go over the edges like that. And you know, different sizes, whatever. I've got a couple of different sizes on mine. I just think it looks better if they're not all the same size. That one's not stuck down properly, so I'm chasing it around with my Sharpie. But anyway, you get the idea. Okay, and then I just remove those off the back there and pop them straight onto my wreath. Okay, I finished it off with a sentiment from the Snowflake Sentiment set, which is embossed in white on black, which is a look I really like. So it's actually not a difficult card at all, but it does have a few elements, and I wanted to show you how I used the foil snowflakes to create the wreath, which I think looks terrific. Just a word on different sizes. This one is a different look, okay? So I used a larger circle. In fact, I used this one, which is a couple of sizes up from the little one that I used in the first place, and it gives you more like kind of almost like a flower. To me, that's not so much a wreath, but it would look great around a sentiment or something like that. Looks good. That's the size of this is 5 centimeters from one cutting edge to the other, which is approximately 1 7/8 of an inch if you're looking for inches. And then the piece that you cut out of it is this shape. Okay, so that's a really lovely snowflake in its own right. So this card here is one that I used the pieces that I cut out. So I did a little one, which is the one I cut with the first framelit, the smallest size, and this one here is the bigger one, and I think that looks terrific as well. Now, if you're wondering about using punches, then I tried a few different punches, and most of our punches don't actually reach into the middle of the snowflake. So all the smaller sizes don't reach. The only ones that will fit are the largest ones. If you use the 2 1/4 inch punch, which is our largest punch at the current time, it actually doesn't leave enough of the snowflake to make it worthwhile in my view. But the 2 inch punch does, and I'll just pop this in so you can see. The only problem with using punches is you have to be careful that you get it neatly into, it can be hard to feed it in, is what I'm trying to say. And I want to try and get that, so that's pretty much symmetrical. I have the same sticking out on either side, and then go through the whole thing. A few little pieces go here, there and everywhere, but you can see the size and the shape of the snowflake that you get when you do that. It actually looks really rather nice, and that looks great, as you can see here, in a card all in its own right too, so it gives you a completely different shape. I did try using my 1 3/4 inch punch, and that one works as well size wise, so you can see it left me more than the 2-inch punch does. See how they're a little bit different. But unfortunately, I think my 1 3/4 inch punch might need a bit of a sharpen or something, because it didn't cut as cleanly, and I had to finish it off with some scissors. So you do have to be careful. They can be, because they're quite flimsy, they can be hard to punch. So if you have the framelits, I'd recommend those. If you really need to use punches, make sure your punches are good and sharp, and be very careful when you feed your snowflake in, because it can be difficult to get it to punch clean. Okay, so that gives you a bit of an idea anyway. So I hope that's been a fun tip for you today. I think they look fantastic, and it's a completely different way to use them again. I have actually experimented with a couple of other ways, so I may put those up as separate videos. I'm just going to see whether everybody needs a break from snowflakes. And it's kind of funny, because it's actually, the weather is really heating up here in Australia right now, and snowflakes are something we certainly don't see much of at this time of year, so it is kind of ironic. But anyway, so there you go. Lots of different things you can do with your snowflakes. If you like this video, please subscribe. Hit the red subscribe button underneath, and come back and see me again. I try and post a new video at least once a week, if not a couple of times a week. And I love showing people how to do cool and different things with their products. So stop on by again. Thanks, guys. Bye.